Donald Trump is with us now on the phone. Mr. Trump, good morning.
Good morning.
Let's see if we can clear something up that has become an issue in South Carolina. The question is whether or not you said that the Bush administration lied to get us into the war in Iraq. Here is exactly what you said at the debate on Saturday night. We will roll the tape.
They lied.
Okay.
They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none.
And here is what you said last night at a CNN town hall when asked by a voter who didn't like that sentiment whether you'd be willing to reconsider. We'll roll that tape.
Would you be willing to rethink that?
Well, a lot of people agree with what I said, and I'm not talking about lying. I'm not talking about not lying.
So which is it, Mr. Trump? Because it seemed like you backed off that claim a little bit last night. Are you still saying that the Bush administration lied to get us into Iraq?
Well, I'm not saying anything one way or the other.
Well, you did say that. You did.
Joanna, I'm saying that as far as I'm concerned, the decision to go into Iraq was probably one of the worst decisions ever made in the history of our country. It led to the total destabilization of the Middle East, and everything that we have right now
But to this specific issue, I'm sorry to interrupt, but to this specific issue, this is what some voters in South Carolina are really seizing on, whether or not you accuse the Bush administration of lying. Are you still accusing them?
I think you're seizing on them. I don't think they're seizing on it.
Well, the voter asked you about it last night.
I don't think the voters are seizing on it. I don't know if he lied or not. He could have lied. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I guess you'd have to ask him. But whatever, the decision to go into the Middle East, to go into Iraq, was one of the worst decisions in the history of our country. We've spent $2 trillion in Iraq. We've lost thousands of lives. We've got wounded warriors who I love all over the place. And that was a decision that was made. And right now, we have nothing. Iran is taking over Iraq. We've totally lost. We've been humiliated there, and we should have at least gone, if you're going to go in, you go in to win. But the war in Iraq was one of the worst decisions. Why he made it, there were no weapons of mass destruction. He said that there were weapons of mass destruction. There were no weapons of mass destruction. It's been a horrible decision, maybe the worst decision ever made by the United States.
Mr. Trump, it's Willie Geist. Let's take up that question of Iraq. You have said, as one of the pillars of your foreign policy credentials, that you had the wisdom to know that it was going to be a bad idea to invade Iraq, that it would be a disaster. You said that in 2003 and 2004. Last night, as you heard in the piece there, BuzzFeed unearthed a clip of you talking to Howard Stern, September 11, 2002, where you were asked, should we go into Iraq? And you said, yeah, I guess so. I guess my question to you, Mr. Trump, then is, are you exaggerating how strong you were against the war? I know you said things down the road that put you out there as someone who was against the war, but are you exaggerating how hard you were against it?
No, it's the first time the question was ever asked to me. That was long before the war started. And by the time the war started, and you have documentation on this, by the time the war started, I was against it. And you see articles in 2003. Don't forget, I wasn't a politician. Nobody really cared about my opinion. That was just a question that was asked of me. I was a civilian. I was an entrepreneur.
But at the time, did you think it was a good idea?
Oh, to go into the war was
in 2002.
A disaster. To go into the war was a disaster. But the question was asked in 2002, quite a ways in front of the war, long before the war started. By the time the war started, I was against it, and immediately after the war started, and for many years I've been against it, I said it'll totally destabilize the Middle East, and Iran will take over the Middle East, and that's exactly what happened.
Mr. Trump, let's talk about this dust-up with Pope Francis, and we've heard what you had to say about that, and you feel like maybe Pope Francis was not misquoted, but maybe didn't say something as harsh as you initially were told. Let me ask you a different question. You said yesterday, no leader, especially a religious leader, should have the right to question another man's religion or faith. And I was really struck by that because over this last week, and even on Friday, a week ago, you tweeted about Ted Cruz. How can Ted Cruz be an evangelical Christian when he lies so much and is so dishonest? So it appears you have been questioning another person's faith.
No, I'm not. Ted Cruz told many lies. You just got caught on one. You're going to be reporting on one in a little while, what he did to Marco Rubio with a false ad that he put out, what he did to Ben, look what he did to Ben Carson.
But you did
Iowa.
Question his faith, whether or not the fact that you say he's a liar makes him less of a Christian. It says, how can he be an evangelical Christian when he lies so much and is dishonest?
I'm not questioning his faith. I'm just saying Ted Cruz holds up the Bible and then lies. He's lied on many occasions. He's been caught on almost all of them. He did voter violation forms, which is a fraud. He's done so many things that are so bad. I've never seen anything like it. Marco Rubio came out the other day and called him an absolute liar. He's never seen anything like it, and I've never seen a politician do that. Ted Cruz lies. Everybody knows he lies, and it's disgraceful. And yet he goes around and he says he's an evangelical Christian. That's his. I'm just saying he says it.
All right, Mr. Trump, thank you so much. I think we cut it out of the cell phone signal, cut a little bit at the end there, but I think we got it. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
And
thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.